It is moving. Yes. And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to Healing Conversations. I am your host, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And today, everybody, we are diving deep into a topic I think that touches every one of us. We all need to know about forgiveness. And my guest is someone whose journey is very extraordinary. Her name is Trudi Renee Harper. Yay, Joy. We call her Joy.
Yeah.
And she is a student of she is a student of life. She's a woman of unshakable faith. She is founder of the, is this right? Truth Relief Healing. And for over 25 years, she studied the mind, the body, the spirit connection. And yes, we have science to prove that the mind, body, and spirit is all connected together. And this, she's done great, profound shadow work. She has walk through what she calls, and I quote, dark night of the soul. I'd love to hear more about that. And she's done this many times, and she is here to share her wisdom with everybody. Miss Trudi is definitely an empath. She's a spiritual guide. She writes books, everybody. This is so cool. She has a book entitled Planet Kindness, and she's talking about global rebirth. And I'm interested to hear about this kindness agenda. And she calls this type of work a way for us to heal deep trauma. And that's why I really want her on here, because she is talking about today forgive the forgivable and embrace this unconditional love and unity consciousness. Oh my goodness, we got a lot to get into today. She is very passionate advocate for the human and animal rights. We don't have enough of this today, by the way. She's like my sister for real. She is a seeker of peace on earth and a believer of the infinite potential within each of us. This is all the work that I do every single day. I really love Mrs. Trudi and what she has to say. So we're going to explore forgiveness today and why it is really essential for healing and how it can unlock our highest potential. Definitely can. And so everybody, if y'all listening, I want to invite you guys to pause and reflect. Who Y'all, I see you, Jen, in the chat. How you doing? Everybody, who in your life do you need to forgive? Y'all think of this person, and we're going to talk about that today. And or maybe we need to start thinking about, do you need to forgive yourself for something? So keep these questions in mind as we dive right in. And so I want to welcome Trudi into the mix. Hi, Trudi. How are you?
Hi, Dr. Alicia. I'm good. How are you?
I am really great, and I'm the topic of forgiveness is high. It's really interesting because
Yeah.
the the problem with forgiveness is that I'm thinking of somebody who did me wrong,
Mm.
and I'm thinking of how people I know has experienced a situation where someone has done them wrong. And you have to forgive this person,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, they don't even ask you for forgiveness. How you gonna forgive somebody when they don't even acknowledge that they've done something wrong to you? Number one. And number two, even if they did acknowledge, very rarely do we find people here who are open enough to come to someone and say, I want to start the process of forgiveness. Let's start there. Like, how
Mm.
do we come to grips with the fact that there are people in our life who we know we need to forgive, and they know they've done us wrong, but they don't even ask for forgiveness? What do you have to say about that?
Whew. It is so, this is huge because, okay, first let me say, I do acknowledge how hard it is for people to forgive other people. because we've been so conditioned to blame other people for co-creating situations that are actually a projection of our own inner world.
Yes.
And so when I understood personally on my own journey, because I used to just hold on, I just, talk about a vindictive spirit, a person who, how, I'm gonna get my get back. That was in my younger years, but in the process of just growing and doing my own shadow work and healing and wanting to be happy, wanting to feel peace, the things that we all want to feel, I had to dig deep inside myself and see why I was attracting certain situations. So let me also start with the root of most of our issues has to do with the fact that we've been programmed and conditioned through patriarchal thinking for over 4,000 years. So with us forgetting who we are, with us forgetting our connection to Mother Earth, with us forgetting our connection to universal law, that is what is undergirding our problems. Because when we understand the law of oneness, that nothing is separate in this universe, that we are all connected to each other, when we understand the law of correspondence, that everything that is going on in our internal reality is going to project into our outer reality because of the neuroscience of the brain. So we have mirror neurons in our brain that actually take photographs almost of what we're thinking and what we're feeling, and then it projects onto our external reality. So we don't actually need other people to help us forgive, because what the other people are doing is they're actually a gift and they're presenting ourselves to us, if you're following me.
Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on. There's one thing, there's two comments I want to make. First of all, you are saying that every instance where someone has done us wrong, we have to stop and look at how we co-created that situation.
Absolutely.
And only time someone can do us wrong is if we give them permission to do that.
Yes, if we give them permission to do it by what we allow, we don't need boundaries to tell other people what they need to do, because that's control. And part of the
Yes.
reason that we have such we're so fixated on controlling our external reality is because we're ancestrally conditioned. So we have in our ancestral DNA and our ancestral memory, our cellular memory, the ownership concept of other people, that somehow we get to tell people what to do. We get to externalize our happiness and our reality and project it onto other people, holding other people responsible for why we feel the way that we feel. And it's all
Oh, Miss Trudy, I hope she comes back, because she is talking about forgiveness and the fact that we have to look at our part in whatever happens. And so she's back in here. Yes, come on back.
here we go.
You are on it. Go ahead.
So this is so layered. And
Yes.
if we can start with understanding that our people are not well. We are sick. We are mentally not well. And we're mentally not well because we don't understand how we're meant to function as a human technology. We understand what we've been taught through the patriarchal lens. We understand, we have hygiene, we eat, we are productive people, we have jobs and careers, and that we have to make a living in this 3D reality. But there's so many things that are deeper than that.
Oh, Miss Judy. Trudy, she is really getting into forgiveness, everybody. And I hope that she comes back, because this is so important. Here she is.
Dr. Alicia,
Okay, come on.
this,
Go Go ahead.
This StreamYard, it doesn't do it with Zoom, but I noticed it does it with StreamYard. So with the topic of forgiveness, it's
Yes.
not just forgiveness. Forgiveness is like the symptom of what is externalized when we don't love ourselves, when we don't understand that we're creating our own reality. So, and when we've lost our connection to our inner child, then we have a lot to forgive. But if you understand the human technology, like I was saying, if you understand the ego, if you understand the subconscious, if you
Yes.
understand the animal, the primal nature of us, we wouldn't have a lot to forgive if we weren't so separated from our inner child. That's why in the Bible it says we can't inherit the kingdom of heaven unless
Yes.
we turn as children. And it doesn't mean childishness, it means the state of being a child. The
Child.
heart is wide open. When the heart is wide open and we're living with heart-mind coherence, so we need our ego and our mind, but we don't need to live in the mind, because when we live in the mind, then we are in a state of control and in a state of victim consciousness. Children don't operate like that. They can
They
have a
don't.
problem. No, the little children, they can get slapped in the face by another child, and then a few minutes later, after they just cry and they soothe themselves, then they're back in
Moved
the hard
on.
space. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. They're living in the moment and they're
In the
creative.
moment. In the moment.
Yeah. I mean, I think another profound thing that you just talked about with forgiveness is the fact that it's a gift. The
Yes.
fact is, you feel you've co-created an experience where you feel like
Yes.
anything outside of you, if that's even possible, can do something wrong to you. But what you said, what I heard you say was that it's really a gift because it's an opportunity for you to stop in your tracks.
Yes.
And not everything that happens to you will stop you in your tracks. When something stops you in your tracks, that's a signal that, oh, this is a gift. And I need to now pay attention to, it could be, what inner child wound do I now need to now pay attention to? Because this doesn't affect everybody, but it's hitting me close to home. And so now I need to stop and think about what's coming up for me.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that entire process is a gift. So somebody does you wrong and it hurts you deeply. You need to
Yes.
look at that person and say, thank you very much. You've now given me an opportunity to go
Yes.
deeper and to try to figure out what about this situation hurts
Yes.
so much, and that I am allowing, I'm co-creating this experience.
Mhm. Yes. That's it. That's it.
Oh,
See, and this isn't based in this concept is based in law. This is universal law, so it's immutable. So
yes.
when we understand these 12 universal laws, this is where we operate from, to be connected, mind, body, and spirit. It's not just, taking a self-love bath and
Yes.
eating nutritious food. It goes deeper into the science and the technology of how we're meant to function. And when we understand how we're meant to function, then our life is simple. Our journeys are long. Some of us have been raised in the church. We have different spiritual practices and ways of life to make the best of this reality,
Yes. To make sense of it all.
to make sense of it all. But when we understand our let's say our astrological codes, so our own unique human blueprint, when we understand that and the universal laws, and we apply those and we study those and we apply them to everyday life and how we relate to other people, we literally don't even have problems anymore. We don't have problems. We have feelings, we have experiences, but they're not problems?
It only becomes a problem when what happens? When a situation comes up, and for some of us, one situation becomes a problem, and for other people, another situation becomes a problem.
Yeah.
What is it that demarcates whether an issue becomes a problem or whether you tend to use these universal laws, which I think all of us need to study and we need to get into, because it's a universal law. You can't change that.
Right.
You need to use it and work with it so that we can make sense out of this 3D reality we happen to be living in right now.
You got
What
it.
have you noticed is the demarcation between what becomes a problem and what just becomes something you need to absorb?
So that's a good question, because we're all experiencing life through our own lens based on our traumas, and our traumas are based in the patriarchal conditioning and how we're living in separation. We're living in an illusion that we're separate, that we're not one. And even taking it even more recently to our ancestors, say the Maasai tribe, or there's I forgot the name of it, because the Khan people of Ghana. So, the communal concept of living together and understanding that everything we do affects each other. If we understand, if we're living in oneness and not separation from other people, then we don't have a lot to get upset about, because we're working together in unison collectively to accomplish the same goal. So our people are scattered here in the Americas. We're scattered, and we're separate from the motherland. We're separate from each other, and we're separate from the way that the universe operates. We're separate from how our human body works. And so, because of the trauma wounds, say one person has a trauma wound, to answer your question more specifically, if one person has a trauma wound of scarcity, where they grew up in a home where there was a lack of love, a lack of
Hey, everybody. We are talking to Trudi Harper here, and she's going to come back on because she's breaking down. She's taking it to a whole nother level, you guys. We are talking about the truth about forgiveness, and we're talking to Miss Trudi, and she's telling us some deep stuff about forgiveness. And you were talking about, for instance, if you have a trauma wound of scarcity, not having enough money, not having enough love, not having enough attention.
Yes.
That's a trauma wound, definitely.
Of
How does that
scarcity
transform into what can be a problem? Yeah.
So, for example, if there's a person who has a trauma wound of scarcity, and they're living, so there's a couple. One person grew up with lack, and now they overbuy. They
overbuy, they overspend. And you know what else they do? They can either overspend or overbuy because they're trying to compensate for this sense of scarcity. Or they may sometimes do the opposite. They may be very frugal. Okay, go ahead, Miss Trudi.
Okay,
I was
please.
finishing your sentence, I think.
Please, StreamYard, keep me on. So say that there's one spouse grew up poor. Another person the other spouse is a minimalist. They can't think, they can't function when there's stuff all over the place. And instead of thinking about what I need, what I want, look at the other person who's obviously, like, if they got 5 boxes of cereal up on top of the refrigerator, 10 bars of soap, and everything's just being hoarded in the house. Look and see what is happening with that person. Having more compassion, like what's
Yes. While Trudi comes back on here, she's bringing up a really good point, everybody. She's talking about, instead of looking at somebody and the way they operate and how it's different from how you operate, instead of stigmatizing that person for their difference, Look at that person with compassion. Go
Yes.
ahead. I'm just summarizing what you're saying while you pop back on here.
Girl. So it's about us understanding, taking a pause, take a breath,
Mhm.
do our self-care so that we're not so reactive when we run into a conflict with another person. We obviously are seeking to be happy and to live in peace and harmony. That's, basically what we're doing here. But just
No, this makes really good sense because there's so many people who have this scarcity trauma
Mhm.
issue, and they could have enough money in the bank to pay all their bills. But why? They walk around thinking, am I going to have enough money? Am I going to have enough money? Well, even though in their banking account, they have an abundance in their
Yeah,
banking account, they just can't see it because they're so stuck in this trauma wound of scarcity that, oh my goodness, no matter how much money I make, will I
yeah,
run out? Am I
yes,
going to be left high and dry?
yeah,
Asking these questions that's placed years ago, but it's not your current reality. And it's making that shift from one way of thinking, that shift to another way of thinking, to an idea of abundance instead of coming from a place where there's scarcity.
yes. And on a practical level, how to bridge that divide between the two,
Mm-hmm.
we need to deprogram and rewire our brains. So a lot of what we're suffering from is because we have these psychological imprints in our brain. So we need to do more deprogramming and reprogramming. And it's not even complex. We just have to be willing to sacrifice and take time to unpack these things. And so when we look at what we do with our time, and when we look in terms of the actual logistics of what do we need to actually heal. If people are living in scarcity, and they have real scarcity where they have to work, so many days, so many hours to make a living and pay their rent. It might be hard for people like that to actually take the time they need to heal. But let me use myself as an example. I I thought I was one person until this dark night of the soul that I told you about.
Yes.
So in the reality I was living in, when I thought I was all that, I was in a constant, I've been married 3 times, 10 years each. And yes, I had a lot together externally. Yes, I was a kind person. But the hell that my husband's had to go through living with me as a perfectionist, I'm not now, because I had to literally die to my ego and rebirth. But when we need to heal, it takes time. And it doesn't have to take a long time, but it takes sacrifice also. So let me say, my last husband, my dearly beloved, who passed away
Oh.
right before my dark night of the soul. Dark nights of the soul are ego deaths, where we are confronted with our subconscious patterns, and we go into a deep, deep state of, it's not even depression. It's like where you literally are dying. You're
Mm-hmm.
dying spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
He noticed, because he was 25 years my senior. He noticed that I had a problem, but because I was a perfectionist, I had it going on. I just felt like I was just basically, I almost tapped into walking on water. And he looked at me one day and he said, he said, baby, he said, I think you have delusions of grandeur. And I thought, delusions of.
Oh my gosh, delusions of grandeur. This is great. Trudy is going to be back to share her story. Everybody, we are talking about the truth about forgiveness. And before Trudy comes back on here, I just want to say hello to everybody. And I want to tell everybody that I'm happy that you're here with us. I want to let everybody know that if you want to stay connected with me and get information from me about when I go live and lots of free information from me, you can text the word love, LOVE, to 87948. You get information when I go live. Also, you get invited to my healing book club that meets every Sunday night. So I want to tell you about that. Secondly, I just want to say this is my website, coachingwithdralicia.com. You can definitely reach out to me. I see y'all reaching out to me. Y'all can reach out to me. We can set up a consultation. I can work with you more on one-on-one basis. And of course, follow me on the gram, Instagram, TikTok, and definitely YouTube at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. And so now Trudi, oh Lord, Trudi was coming on here and she was sharing her story about, hopefully she'll make it back on. This is what happened. This is our second time having Trudi here. And so I would love to see her come back. Let me see if I can text her. Here she is. She's come back and she is so gracious to share her story, her own story about how she has, in her dark nights of the soul, she's talking about when forgiveness became a way for her to heal. And she was mentioning about her third husband, third time's the charm sometimes.
Right.
Tell us, and I'm real sorry, condolences to the passing of your husband, but he was making a profound statement about you. So finish your story, Miss Trudi.
So when I had the dark night of the soul, the first thing I had to do, because, well, it was my first time living by myself. You know, I went from living at home to being a wife and mother. And so I'd never lived alone. So being alone and being in quiet, eating dinner alone, I had all these feelings. And this was only 3.5 years ago. This is when this other journey started. So I had a healing journey when I was young. You know, we can heal habits. Those might be easier to do through behavioral modification and, you know, therapy, talk therapy. But when we talk about getting into the soul, and when we talk about getting into childhood wounds and ancestral trauma, it's so deep and so sorrowful and so grievous that we can't just pick back up and put on a smile and put ourselves together professionally and get back to work. My advice is, if you can take time, make some sacrifices, take time to really reconnect with the mind, the body, and the spirit, or the soul, and collect those soul fragments. Collecting soul fragments are every time we betray ourselves, every time we were abandoned, every time some people grew up with physical and sexual abuse. Go back and collect those parts of ourselves. It takes time. It takes a lot of crying. And in our society, I don't know when it happened, but this need to always be happy. The soul's journey is not even about being happy. The soul's journey is about reintegrating our essential self, our soul, who we are outside of the body, connecting that back to ourselves. And that's where the inner child lives. That's where real joy lives. That's where real peace lives. And it's hard to embody those things. It's hard for us to actually live a integrated life if we haven't grieved on a cellular.
Yes.
And it's not linear, so it's not like we get it done. You know, I've done a lot of healing. Like, I don't have to have a glass of wine to get out on the dance floor. I don't have to smoke weed. And it's not that I didn't used to do some of those things sometimes. So I'm not judging anything.
Yes. Okay. So let me pick up on where Miss Trudi was talking about. I really enjoy, everybody, how she is speaking about integrated life. And from where I'm sitting, I think that is so spot on. Because anyway, let's bring her back on. I was talking about, before you cut out, I was talking about this integrated life, how that's so important with healing. And really, in a nutshell, that's really what I do as a therapist, is that I help integrate, because here's what happens. when we have developmental trauma or even situational trauma, like something scary that can happen to you, it's still with us, but we're moving on day-to-day life, like everything is okay, but it just becomes like an abscess.
Yes.
That's kind of
Yes.
hanging out. It's an abscess that kind of hangs out right there on the skin, but you're still carrying through life and you're being normal, but it's not until something comes by and it touches that abscess that you're like, ouch, this really hurts. And that's what trauma does. And to heal that, what I was saying is like an abscess, and to heal that trauma, you have to integrate. You have to be able to look at that abscess and that experience that created that sore and integrate that into your walking life. It's not about having the perfect childhood. It's
Right.
not about finding the love of your life one time and being married. Don't matter how many times you marry, 6, 7, 8 times, however many times it takes. I don't want to put any judgment on how many times people have been married or whether they get married at all. It's all okay as long as you can look at that and integrate all of your experiences, the happy experiences, the painful experiences. All of these things need to be integrated into who and what you are. And that's what makes us as individuals very, very special and unique.
Yes. And so the integration and even having the, like how you just broke it down into into a science. So that's very important to have a comprehension of what is happening with us, because a lot of people are confused. A lot of people are so disassociated from how they actually feel inside because they've externalized survival.
Yes.
I've got to get up and go to work and take care of these kids. I've got to pay my rent. So just fundamentally, a lot of people are in survival mode. And personally, because before I get cut off again, Dr.
Okay.
Alicia, I want to say, because I have so much to talk about when it comes to healing, because let me just say, having a father who was a child psychologist and witnessing him rape people when I was a child. Can you imagine? So I have a lot of things to share in how I didn't even have to forgive him, because God has gifted me with the ability to forgive. But what I had to heal was my nervous system.
Yes.
I'm highly sensitive, and I'm also just a lover of people. So I didn't have to actually forgive, but I had to heal. Because I said, Daddy, when I remembered, because I had disassociated, when I remember, I said, why did you do those things? Because I ended up with eating disorders. I ended up with agoraphobia. This is in my late teens and early 20s. These are things I've healed from. But healing, we have so much to heal from. We don't even realize unless when we shut down and we get quiet. Like a lot of people don't want to be quiet. They want the TV and the radio on. They don't want to be quiet. They don't want to be still. They've got to accomplish. They've got to meet this deadline, this goal. But when my world shut down and I was able to be still and listen to the things that God was telling me, no matter what you call God, God lives in here, not God in the sky, God inside. Yes. God will talk to us. That's why it says, be still and know that I am God.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is so great. Hey, everybody. I see Trudy's going to come back. We know she's coming back on. Gosh, I'm reading these comments here. What a comment we have here. Oh my gosh. Miss Trudy, while you were on, we got James Ramsey, who has this big comment, and I think is really worth looking at. He's saying that as a people, for 500 years, we have endured and suffered many socially engineered attacks, which has disrupted our mental health, resulting in unaddressed trauma from years of oppression and war. Let me tell you, I absolutely agree with this one.
Yes.
As a people, we are not the catalyst which has brought the loom of destruction, but has been protected as destruction by
Yes.
form of the many reactions we have
Yes.
experienced in the attacks perpetuated through the media. And he misspelled media, but that's all
Yes.
right because I know exactly
Woo!
what he's talking about. Oh my
James,
God, Miss
baby,
Trudi,
James. My
come
son's
on,
name is
James.
James. My son's name is James. James, talk about it. That's what I was saying. The main problem is for over 4,000 years, we have this conditioning. And the conditioning is at the root, our lack of understanding how we're disconnected from the motherland, we're disconnected from the universal law, and we're disconnected from the star system. That's what my book is on, the next book that I'm launching next week. That's what I wanted to talk to you.
Woo!
Yes, this is what it is. This is what it is on, because we've got to go back to the fundamentals. How did we begin to become possessive of other people? Like, how we think, where did the concept come that we want to own our partner, where we want to control our children? It's the concept of ownership that was introduced into us psychologically.
Yes.
And it lives in our DNA. And if we're quiet long enough, and if we don't stuff ourselves with food, and we don't smoke it away, and we're not drinking it away, our ancestors live inside of us, and they will talk to us.
Yes.
We are the sentient beings, and our cells, each cell has a brain of its own. Our brain, our body will talk to us like a plant will talk to us. Let me tell you this. My second husband had an affair in our house. And do you know how I knew he had an affair? My spider plant that goes in every direction. When I got home, I went and walked into the living room, and the spider plant was every point, every tip of every leaf was touching in the center, up like a bun, like a woman with a bun in her hair.
Mm.
And I saw that plant, and I knew who because the person had been in the house the day before. And I knew exactly what happened. And I can go all over the place with this, but thank God he was an honest man. And
Oof.
I demanded honesty, because I wasn't going to be, now this is the key when we talk about forgiveness. I gave all three of my husbands, that's why I'm friends with the one passed, but that's why I'm still friends with the other two, because I did create a space where they can be honest, and they can tell me things without me leaving them, without abandoning them. So it wasn't a matter of me forgiving them. It was a matter of me loving myself enough to see how I co-created those situations, and to breathe through the shock and the hurt and the pain of when these experiences happen. Not when someone does something to me. No one's doing anything to me. Life is always happening for us.
Yes.
The gift of the reality of the pain teacher, when these things come up, they felt safe enough. That's the agreement. Like, if I tell you this, you're not going to leave me, though. You're not going to abandon me and re-trigger how my daddy left me. And my daddy, I was no good this, and nobody was there for me. So I'm not going to re-trigger those abandonment wounds. It's hard. But if we use aromatherapy, if we use the somatic breathing, if we take responsibility, this is like what radical responsibility is. Like,
It's a cry for help. Yes. Radical responsibility. Yes.
if you know a person loves you, but then you get hurt by something that they do, instead of focusing on, like, how could they do this to me? Like, I was there for that person. I did all these things for this person. And, no. First of all, love has no conditions. We call attachment love. We call ownership and fear. We call all these behaviors love, when love is actually what Christ. I'm not Christian, but I do practice the principles in the Bible that were plagiarized by the ancient Kemetic principles. There were not 10 commandments. There were 42. There wasn't a Jesus. There's no J in the Hebrew. It was Haru. was the name of the original Immaculate Conception story. So it was Aset, not Mary. It was Asar, not Joseph. So I do practice these things. And Christianity is a gateway into us remembering who we are, but it doesn't stop there, because that's what we've been born into, a lot of us. But
this, I mean, I'm gonna pause for a little bit, because there's so much, and I'm writing a bunch of stuff down. But I really, really love when you talk about how our ancestors speak to us. And one thing that I've come to find out is that the more you start to listen, the louder they get. And it's almost like you're carrying on and you're listening and you're paying attention, and it's a hunch and it's an urge. And then you get into the habit. You're like, wait a minute, and it's something extra, because it's not your normal way of thinking. It's something outside of how you actually would think. You're like, wait, there must be something to it. Let me try this. And then once you try it, there you go. It says, oh, she's listening now. We're going to continue working with her, and we're going to continue trying with her. And we've lost Trudi again, but I know she's coming back on. And I just want to say, welcome everybody. I see all y'all coming in here. How you doing? Oh, Lord, we got another comment. Let's see if Trudi can deal with this comment. Chris Reed, ain't he a cutie little cutie over there on YouTube? He said, don't take this too serious, ladies. If a woman wants to be equal like a man, please raise up the toilet seat when done. Look at that. Look at it, Chris. I think you got a good point there.
Yeah, he does.
Maybe we should be putting the toilet seat up for you guys. Maybe we can do half a year. One half of the year is toilet seat down, and the other half of the year is toilet seat up. It's time to break the mold.
That is, Chris, thank you for saying that. That's so important. Do you see how petty we can get? Is it really about like the toilet seat up, the toilet seat down? Like that's the thing. It's not our way.
Yeah.
We all have our own way of doing it. It doesn't make one person's way wrong or the other person's way right.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I totally agree. Poor Chris. Chris, what you been experiencing?
Yeah, Chris is like, but you know what? For a man to make that statement, what does that tell us that he has experienced in his life? I mean, we don't know, Chris. We're just extrapolating. But for him to be able to view the world in that way, because he's probably responding to patriarchy.
It sounds like it reminded me of my household.
Yeah.
My husband's. I went back and I sent them letters, the other two who are still living, and I apologize profusely for the many little hell of perfectionism they had to live in the house with me, because the toilet seat was actually a thing, because I had my systems and I had the way that this is the best way because this is the most clean way and this is the way that functions, but that's not their way.
Trudi, you ain't heard a thing. Listen, I got a thing where the toilet paper has to be over. I can't, if I go into a place and if my husband puts the toilet paper under where it rolls under, I gotta say, what's wrong with you? You're supposed to do it this way.
But it's true.
And then you stop and think about it. You're like, this is stupid. Why?
It does make sense though, the way you're saying, like that to me, that's logical. My mom even puts a little triangle point at the toilet paper. But it makes sense. But like my son, for example, he said, Mom, I relax by flowing. And I relax as the mom by putting everything back where it goes. He's an artist and he thinks a different way. So I don't get bent out of shape and make him feel like, I give him space, I give him time. When we live with people, we have to coexist.
Yes.
And so sometimes like he's gonna put it back because it makes more sense to put things back where they go. But if he's not going to do it as fast as I want it done, then I do it. I do it. Then, don't always complain about what the other person is doing. Dr. Lisa, can I mention one thing when it comes to forgiveness before I get kicked off again?
Okay.
A lot of women, what we're going through is sexual trauma. Some men also are going through sexual trauma. I want to get back to victim consciousness and the
Yes.
law of correspondence. How is it that, if some man raped me or I was molested as a child, why is it my responsibility? How did I create this? Make it make sense.
Yeah.
So the energy body
Yes.
and the trauma imprints of our ancestors also live inside of us. So it doesn't mean that we necessarily projected that reality consciously.
Oh, yes.
But say, for example, if we watch a lot of crime shows with a lot of rape and murder, those
Yes.
things are imprinted into the subconscious mind, and those
Yes.
still project energetically in the realm, in the 5D, the fifth dimension, where we can't see. Those things are also projecting. We attract through the law of attraction. But the other way we create those painful situations is the sins of the father. That's what it means by the sins of the father. That karma, that law of what law is it? It's the law of cause and effect.
Yes. For every cause, there is an effect.
Yes. So that reaping and sowing,
Yes.
it might not be, that's a law. That's why I said we got to understand the universal law. We might not have caused the rape, but because our father or our grandfather or our grandmother or one of our ancestors created it, the ripple effect doesn't happen until our lifetime. These are laws.
And I'll take it even further, Trudi.
Yes.
Because I love science.
Good.
Science tells us, do you know what the number one predictor if a woman gets sexually assaulted? Is
No.
if her mother was sexually assaulted.
Woo.
Number one predictor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. If her mother was sexually assaulted, there has to be something energetically. And theorists and therapists like myself say, oh, there must be something about a danger sense. There must be something about a person's ability to be able to foresee this sort of danger. But I do think, Trudi, that this is science really showing that it could be an energetic piece here.
It really, really is. And so in terms of forgiving people for what happens to us, these things are happening for us. Now, I'm a person who's been deeply hurt in my life. I'm very sensitive, so I'm still like the experience with my son and his fiance. That's in my cells. It's going to take me a few days to unpack the feelings that they had that logged into my womb and into my lower back. I still don't have that out of my system. So these things are energetic. These hurts and these pains, they're layered. And it's the least thing that we need to do when these things happen is focus on what the other person did. It's so much more than what the other person did. They have to unpack that themselves. But the experience that we actually attracted is trying to teach us some things to help us collect our soul fragments, to help us continue on the process of evolution. That's why we're here. We're here to remember that we are God inside of ourselves. That is why we're here. We're here for our soul's lessons. It's not a happy journey. If we get some happiness out of it, hey, great when we have moments of joy, great when we have the connectedness. But the soul, the pain teacher, and journeying back through the 4,000 years of the patriarchy to reconnect to our ancestors, reconnect to the earth, reconnect to the universe that lives inside of us. I'm gonna have a lot more about the details of how we actually reconnect. In my book that I'm launching next week. I will have more details because it's a study. So we need to take time, and everybody has, we have free will. So how people choose to approach their healing journey is, everyone's choice. How I chose to approach it, I shaved my hair. I gave away everything that I owned. I, I fast. I eat organic, and I eat once a day so that I can really deeply connect and not be so busy. I sacrifice money. That's a big one for us. I sacrificed money. I had to release my identity that I had tied to my accomplishments and the way that my home, who I was professionally. I had to disconnect from these things because these things had a hold on me, that I was too focused on my beauty. I found a lot of identity as a Black woman having long hair. Like, my hair was really pretty, and I still miss my hair, and I still don't feel as beautiful as I did when I had hair, because hair is pretty. Like, there's nothing wrong with having beautiful hair, but I'm saying my personal journey, because I was so attached to my beauty,
Mm-hmm.
and I was so attached to, I made it, and look at what I got. And it wasn't in an arrogant way. It was just in a false identity way. So,
ooh, you are talking about so much stuff. Oh my God. Okay. So here we're talking about when these, okay, so Trudi, she's going to come back on, I'm certain. How's everybody doing? And Jen is like, who do we forgive? Jen is asking a really good question. Who do we forgive? We'll have Miss Trudi come back on and talk about that. But one thing I want to say that is so important with Judy referencing is, and here she is back on. Here, let me put her back on here. Okay. So yeah, so I want to just stop and say, all of the experiences where you feel like someone has done you wrong, you're talking about instances where maybe your body has been violated in a way. Now, it is a lesson for you to learn in that experience. However, in the moment, we're not victim blaming. I just want to get that clear. Yes. In the moment, we are going to soothe the wounds. We are going to give compassion and empathy. I just want to put that caveat in there. And you are going to go through what we talked about, how to integrate that experience into who and what you are, how you felt, healing from that one experience. But the last step in healing is, what lesson can I now learn from this experience? Maybe at the beginning, when the wounds are fresh, you're not at the point where you can have that objectivity and be able to say, what lesson do I learn from this really traumatic experience? Not in the moment. There's a process and a stage that you go through when you have an experience that was very scary. So I know Trudi was nodding her head. There's this process that you go through in the healing and forgiveness process, because the last piece of it is saying, okay, maybe part of my lesson is to write a book about it and share my story for other people, or it's to talk about my transition, or maybe I've learned, maybe I need to detach. Maybe I need to detach from my hair. Maybe I need to detach from greed. Maybe I need to detach from the materialistic things that's keeping me bound by all of these things that don't matter anyway. And maybe I need to come to the conclusion that time is an illusion and we live in an illusion, and I don't need to forgive you because it never really happened. It was just an illusion in and of itself, if we're ready to go to that level.
Did you ask me a question?
I did. The audience asked a question. Jen was saying, now, who do we forgive? She has a great question.
Okay. So forgiveness is a concept. We don't actually have to forgive anybody. We have to love ourselves We have to understand how we co-created the situation. Forgiving people is, to me, forgiving people is part of victim consciousness. We have to forgive people when we feel like someone is wrong and we are right. And I don't believe in victim consciousness. I believe that radical responsibility and understanding the universal law of correspondence is what helps us to heal. Seeing ourselves, the law of oneness, seeing ourselves in the other person, and understanding where another person is coming from. Because going back to children, children don't have a concept of forgiving. They just go back and hug the other person, and they continue to play with the little children, not children who have already come from behind the veil. They cry because these experiences hurt us. We're sentient beings. We feel these things. We have a heart, but we intellectualize too much in life because we're disconnected from the earth. We're disconnected from our soul. We're disconnected from our heart. And that's why the concept of forgiveness is so, it's a big deal in the healing community. And it's a big deal. I don't want to minimize that we don't need to heal and that we don't need to treat people with kindness. But we need, even as important as treating other people well, we need to understand that we are the same. We are one. It is the law of oneness. It's entanglement. We are not separate from the other. And so I'm sorry. And for me, I'm sorry will do.
That's good enough. You don't have
I'm
to.
sorry.
Yeah, that will do for you. Well, Chris has a really good statement. Chris is saying, can you really heal after being hurt? And how can someone say they're reborn a virgin? Now, I don't know anybody. I don't know. I guess virgin could be okay. I'm gonna tackle the last part about reborn a virgin because, and then Trudi, I'll let you go through the first part of that. Reborn a virgin to me means whenever you do something new, you are a virgin to that experience because it's new to you. And that's when I see the word virgin in the Bible, that's all I'd say. Oh, virgin, this means you're doing something that you've never done before. And so you're taking on a new hat, you're taking on a new task. To me, that's what a virgin means. So, Miss Trudi, I'll let you take that top part. Can you really heal after being hurt? Can you really heal after being hurt? This is what Chris is asking.
Yes. But healing is like drinking water every day, taking a bath. That's what healing is like to me. Healing is part of the human experience.
Every night before you go to bed, you can heal. You can take that shower and let that water come through you and let that be healing.
Yes. That's healing because, as equally important as healing, as equally important as what the other person did, we need to understand that it's a gift, it's a projection, because it's the law of correspondence. Whatever's happening in our internal reality is going to show up in the 3D reality. And we are externalizing what our inner world is. That's why some people say, it's our movie, it's our show. We're the director and the cast. Everyone in our reality is a cast member reflecting something in us. Because we're attracting, through the law of attraction, we're attracting the experience. So healing, people have different ways they like to heal. Some do breath work, some do aromatherapy, some do yoga, some do journaling, talk therapy. There's so many ways to heal. In my opinion, the best way to heal is to look at the experience through the lens of a child.
Yes.
We're so armored. I'm surprised I'm not crying now. I was hoping I would get a good cry in because that stuff, I want to say that shit I went through today and yesterday with my son's fiance. Their relationship is ending because she cannot forgive him not this time. I cannot forgive you because of what he said to another woman. I've been there. My husband's paid dearly for my self-righteousness and my judgments. This is what we need. When we talk about healing, what we need to heal is not the pain of what we are going to experience from what other people are doing. We need to heal from what's inside of us that is actually creating these situations. The lack of self-love, the self-righteousness, the judgment, the anger,
Oh.
the rage, and where these things came from. This is what we.
Yes, she's saying this is what we need to heal from, and we know Trudi will be back. But I want to say hello to everybody, and we are talking about the truth about forgiveness. We're taking forgiveness on another level. This is not just asking a person to say, I'm sorry, which for Trudi is good enough for her, but this is all about how we are co-creating that experience. And I like what you're saying. Do you want to finish your thought before I ask my last question for tonight?
Okay,
I don't want to hold you up too much longer.
So we're too focused. I want you guys to understand, we're focused on forgiving other people because we're not understanding how we've been conditioned to externalize in a state of victim consciousness and blame. We're blaming other people for the gift that they're actually handing us. Betrayal is a big one. Abandonment is a big one. We're blaming them. They left me. They, how could they betray me like this? I was so good to them. But what did
rejection? Rejection is the worst one.
Before anyone can reject us, we've rejected ourselves in the relationship by compromising values, boundaries, and the person is just mirroring ourselves to us. So we need to stop focusing on other people. We're so fixated on externalizing our value, externalizing our pain. They did it, and this is why I'm so hurt. Well, they brought us a gift to show us what we're doing to ourselves. All three of my husbands cheated on me, and they would also like to have sex with me a lot. So it wasn't that we weren't having sex. It was more like I was a turnoff with my behavior, my mindset, my attitudes, my judgments. And so they actually were bringing me, I didn't get it until my husband died. That's when I went through the dark night of the soul, and I began to see, because I was still long enough and I didn't have those things to attach to that kept me busy and that kept me feeling good about myself.
Yes.
I had to feel myself. I had to feel actually really how bad I actually felt without success, without beauty, without my codependency. My third husband and I, we got along good though, but he was a Scorpio. He was a Scorpio, and he is a triple Scorpio. And so I was getting him a second wife at the time. Our people did that. The matriarchal lineage, the ancestrally, I was going to have a sister wife. But he died before that happened. But he was finishing fulfilling the agreements he made with me, and we started off polygamous, which was easy for me because I like the communal. I like the big family. I like having friends and having help in the house. And then I have that extra time for myself to, handle my classes and have more time to rest, be with my friends. But he passed before then. But when it was going from monogamy to polygamy, I had to deal with my ego had to be beat down. Because
that's a good one. I don't know. I draw the line. I ain't trying to share my husband with nobody. But anyway, and it's not about possessiveness. That's my twin soul. But I want to tell you one thing I really like about what you said is the part about healing where I eventually get to the point with a lot of the clients that I work with where the forgiveness piece can translate into you are the hero and the hero of your own story. You're the victor. So you've been through something tough, and you go through all of these stages where you're integrating this experience. Because first you come in, usually what happens when people come in to see me initially, they are having these trauma responses, post-traumatic stress disorder responses. And I don't know if people understand this, but to experience PTSD is very disorienting for the person experiencing this, because they're stepping outside of who and what they really are. They're not following their principles. They're becoming someone totally different because their body is basically time traveling to a moment where there's danger. So once you go through the step of integrating this in, once you start connecting the dots, you start coming out of it. I love this whole thing about the lesson that can be learned. Usually what I have some of my clients do is to write out the story about what happened when somebody did you wrong. Put all the details in it, read that, and then rewrite the story where you're saying, you know what? I'm the superhero in this story. I've made it through something very, very difficult. And now I am what now? How are you so much better? What have you learned? What have you integrated into yourself? How have you co-created this experience? You can now see it objectively. But initially, you're so confused because trauma makes you confused. It's disorienting. You don't have clarity in your life. You don't know who you are. You don't know what the world is. Is the world dangerous? Is the world a safe place? How am I going to navigate in this? I'm holding myself back. I can't achieve the goals that I want to achieve. I'm too afraid to leave my house. All of these things that happen. At the end of it, it's showing that, okay, this is where I once was, but now I am victorious. And I am stronger and better, and has taught me this lesson, and I will go forward in life as a new person. And that's why when you tell me that you wrote this book, I am so eager to dive into this, your book, because it's your story and it's how you've come to make sense of it all. And it needs to be put in a book. Everybody needs to write a memoir.
Yeah. Did you ask me a question? I was listening.
I didn't, but would you like to comment?
Yes. But the call had gone out, so I didn't hear the question.
Oh, I didn't even have a question. I just want you to comment on rewriting your story where you're victorious now. You've gone through something horrible and you've now stronger.
Yeah, I love, and you know, if I really like you're very light to me, Alicia. I like the way you remind me of a person who's like the glass half full. And even if it's a hard day, it's like you're so warm and tender. You know, I really appreciate your presence. And just saying that, because kindness means so much to me. And what I was saying, I want to celebrate you in this space, because to get to where you've gotten to in life, you've had to have gone through some things too. And you're just so sweet. And it matters that we as women, like I'm very sweet too. And it matters that we can't be afraid to be vulnerable, because we miss out on actually feeling real happiness and feeling like not being numb, like not being numb, if we can feel from the heart. And so I really thank God that you exist. Thank God that you are a therapist. And rewriting the story, when you said rewriting the story, you're like, hey, you're just so like, I can imagine who you touch like the people who get the honor and the privilege of being in your life, you know, I can imagine the specialness that it is, because everyone doesn't want to rewrite their story. Everybody doesn't want to let people off the hook, because it is feeling hurt and angry can feel empowering.
Yes.
But when we are tapped in, and when we stop having these behaviors that separate us from our soul and our inner child, the anger can't stay. The anger will dissipate when we're connected to the heart, because love and authenticity is the highest frequency and highest vibration. And that frequency of love and authenticity, where the inner child lives, it will
Yeah.
disintegrate. It will melt that anger.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why I got choked up, because I was just thinking about when you're in a space, in a vortex of real love and real unity, like, it's the most beautiful thing. It's the most beautiful. Hold on for a minute. I just want to let this out. Like, I'm so free.
Yeah.
I love myself. I love my life, because I've gotten past all those fears. The fear of being seen, the fear of, not being good enough. That shit is painful. That
Mhm.
shit, it's such a weight. It's so heavy, and it's so like, it makes people not even have a passion to live. So I feel so hurt for our people. That's what my book that I'm launching next week is on post-traumatic slave syndrome. We
Yes.
we have to love. We have to love people. We have to love. It's slavery that
Yes.
caused these behaviors and these patterns that we have, where we hurt each other, where our boys and these gangs are killing each other. This is from slavery. And it's not even to blame the slave master, it's to
Yes.
take back our identity. It's to take back our sovereignty. It's to take back the knowledge and the wisdom of our ancestors,
Yes.
where we are so powerful that we don't have to worry about forgiveness, because we're working as a collective and a communal people,
Yes.
and we're tapped into our soul, in our inner child. Our inner child, do you know how important it is? We've got to be able to be vulnerable, because
Hmm.
if we're not vulnerable, like what meaning does life really have? Like, it's like a ick. Like,
Yes.
it's
And
like,
when you can, and honestly, when you can let all of that go, thank you for sharing, Trudy.
you're
When
welcome.
you can let all of that go, that really is stepping into forgiveness. And forgiveness really is all about being free,
Girl.
not being held down.
Right.
And honestly, when you talk about healing, it really is every single one of us. We have the power to heal within us. And really, all I do as a therapist is try to draw that out of people, and sometimes in a session, that here's how I know that
Yeah.
we have the power to heal within us.
Yes.
Can you believe that there was one time I had this session early on when I started becoming a therapist? I
Hmm.
sat for 50 minutes and I did not say a word with the client. And they talked and talked and talked. And all I did was sit there and go, uh-huh, uh-huh.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Tell me more about that. Okay. So I'm curious. Say more about that. And that's all I did for 50 minutes. Would you believe, Miss Trudy, that
Mm.
by at the end of that 50 minutes, they were like, boy, Dr. Alicia, thank you so much. You have helped me so much. Boy, I feel so much better now. And I'm sitting there like, I didn't even say anything. barely said 2 words.
It's your spirit.
Yeah, it was just me sitting there listening, like I was intensely listening, taking notes and listening, not saying a word, not giving advice. I didn't even give advice.
You know
All I did
why?
was listen, and after 50 minutes, they didn't figure it all out on their own.
Do you remember I was talking about the free? Hi. Remember I was telling you about the vibrational frequency of authenticity and love. Those are the highest frequencies. Excuse me. So hi, I'm on a Zoom call. That's okay. Okay, thank you so much. You didn't need to say anything because you feel so safe and you feel so light and so full of love and authenticity. And that's what I'm saying, that if we can unpack our stuff, the poisons and the ancestral trauma and the toxicity, and we can peel that stuff off, that's our work, even more than focusing on what the other person did and looping in our mind about they did this and they did that. We've got to get control of this through deprogramming and reprogramming, rewiring our brains so that we control the mind and that it's not just this racing thought stream of negative energy and what I don't like and what I don't want and what they did.
Yes.
But you said that when you didn't say a word, and I can imagine because people do that with me also. They will just talk and talk and talk and talk, and I realize, it's not my purpose so much to my purpose in relationships is not so much to get as it is to give.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Give to myself, love myself. And you know how it's more, I don't like to use the word bless, but just say bliss. It's more blissed to give than to receive.
Oh my gosh. Yes, it is. Lord, you guys, we are having a good conversation today. Welcome everybody. This is Healing Conversation with Dr. Alicia, just in case I see some of y'all coming in here. I'd like for everybody to take their phones out and to text LOVE, LOVE, to 87948 so you get more information about when I go live. Who knows when I'm going live nowadays? When I go live, usually it's Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesdays are usually my days. Listen, I'm a college professor, full-time college professor. This is the first week of classes. So that's all I can do. And I train other adults on how to become a therapist. So that's my full-time job. This is part-time, y'all. So you still, when I do something special and I give out free stuff for everybody, you can text the word LOVE, LOVE, to 87948. And then when I also get time, I do post on social media as much as I can, but I am at Coaching with Dr. Alicia on all the platforms. Y'all pick up your phones, follow me on Instagram. I'm almost at 10,000 followers. I'm trying to get there, but that's okay. You follow me and I try to post really great stuff on there so that I can build this healing community of people. And then of course, if you're interested in working with me, I'll leave my website up, coachingwithdralicia.com. And today we are talking about forgiveness. If y'all missed today, y'all be sure to save this video because Trudi is breaking it down. We broke it down today, all about what forgiveness is really about. It's the truth about forgiveness. And I ain't going to give it all away, but we have talked about it today. Be sure to hit the like button. You know somebody going through something really sticky, icky, and betrayal, and all of these terrible things that we co-create. That's a hint. We co-create. Be sure to share this video with people that you think would really benefit from this experience. And I am so happy to have Miss Trudi on. And I don't care, you bouncing on and off, but we're patient for you. And I just want for those who are watching and right now, and all of you who are struggling, it's still a struggle, Miss Trudi, on how to let go. What are some simple things that you can suggest for people that can help people to really release the resentment? I would love for husband and wives that have been married for 20 some odd years to let go of resentment, okay, so they can move forward with peace. What are some parting words for you to say to everybody today, Miss Trudi?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. So don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't be afraid to let people see how you really feel. Don't worry. Don't worry. Be more concerned about your relationship to yourself and your relationship to God, and trust divine order. Trust divine timing, because whatever is for us is for us. Nothing happens outside of God's will. So whether you call God Allah, whether you call God, Jesus or source, the universe, God lives in here, inside. So there's nothing that can happen that isn't part of the divine plan. So try to be your child self.
Yes.
Try to, for example, when my pain was at its height, it would only come out when people would say, "How you doing?" Or like when I look at your face, Dr. Alicia, you look so sweet. It's just a kindness. And my pain would come out at grocery stores, in the post office, at a presentation. And what I did was I allowed myself, I didn't worry about, was I going to get a contract? Was I going to, how are people going to see me? Are they going to think I'm bipolar? Are they, I didn't worry about what people thought about me. Don't worry about what people think about you. Don't even cancel, cut, delete, clear. Don't think about what you think about yourself. Think about your inner child, because as long as we don't honor that inner child and let that inner child feel what it feels, we're going to constantly attract and magnetize to us self-abandonment and betrayal. We've got to touch back into that inner child. So wherever that inner child, don't hit anybody, and, don't be violent about it, but scream into your pillow.
Yes.
Cry.
If everybody were to follow exactly to the letter what you just said, I would be out of a job. And that would be the best day of my life.
Mhm. Yeah, we
That is
got
really
to.
how I feel.
Isn't that the goal though? Isn't that the
Yes.
goal to, like, we don't even need a job. Like, let's see how we can tap back in so deeply to the
Yes.
universal flow of life and our ancestral communal way of living,
Yes.
where we grow our own food. There's going to be resources at the end of my book where I'm going to add you to that list also, Dr. Alicia, because that's what I was thinking. For
Okay.
people, some people want talk therapy, and for talk therapy, like I love your style. And so there's a need for all these different types of things. Like I do inner child rebirthing and Reiki.
Yes.
I spend 60 to 70% of my time in silence, and I don't eat a lot of food because I want to keep my body, sensitive to energy. So I don't stuff it like I did when I had eating disorders when I was a teenager. I would stuff pots of food into my system because the anxiety and the pain from losing my dad was so deep. It was like a wrestling. It was an anxiety in my solar plexus, and I would stuff it with food. Then I'd take a smoke, girl. Then I'd
Ooh,
be cussing people out.
ooh, boy. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. So if we can
Oh,
stay free from overeating, over blaming, smoking, um, junk food, uh, retail therapy, all these things of excess. If we lighten our load, travel light. Like, there's a song by Eric Badu, Bag Lady. Like, listen to that.
yes. Bag lady, you're gonna hurt your back.
Okay?
Carrying all those bags around.
It's a daily work.
Yes.
Ladies, please take a bath and not a shower so that you can get inside that yoni, and where there's so much energetic frequency inside the vaginal canal. Let that water get in there and let the water, we're made of like 65 to 75% water. Let the water get into the cells and soak and be
Ah,
still
so
in that tub.
good.
Soak in that tub and let the water talk to you and talk to the water. That's another thing we can do to let go is
Yes.
talk to the water before you drink it. And since water holds the frequency and memory, and say, I love you, water. I honor you. Thank you for supporting me and thank you for loving me. Just whatever whatever is true to you, and drink the water. Become one with that water. Become one with,
Mm.
be still, take time, slow down, give away things. Before I get off the call real quick, I still hadn't gotten into that area of self-mastery that I really wanted to get into with my third husband. He was
Oh,
he was so sweet. Oh, that man was so sweet.
oh.
But I still didn't feel enough joy. I still didn't feel enough peace. I still hadn't gotten into my mission yet. And I said, God,
Mm.
how am I not being like God? How? Because I felt so perfect already. I'm like, how am I not being like God? And God said, you don't share your husband. You don't share your husband. You are narcissistic. You want the world to revolve around you. You want him to worship you. I really wanted him to worship me. And this is
Woo.
conditioning, the Disney fairy tale of my
Oh my
Prince
gosh.
Charming. And he sees me, the fairy tale and the man, the Jodeci songs. I will die for you. And, you know,
Boy, those songs of the 90s, I love it. Music of the 90s, but it's not necessarily realistic. It's only realistic to a certain stage of romance. This is so great. Let me tell you, oh my goodness, wow, wow, is what I can say. Trudy, I have to thank you so much. You have poured so much truth and wisdom and your own light into this conversation today. And I think your journey, your resilience, oh my gosh, just a little bit I've heard even today. I think that, your commitment to healing, I think it really reminds us that forgiveness is freedom. It's
Yeah,
about taking back your power and
yeah,
figuring out how you're co-creating. The first thing you need to do when somebody does you wrong is to stop and think about how that was allowed to happen. Once you're out of the fight, of
yeah,
course,
yeah, yeah.
it's against the wall, go for it, right? That's what I say. But
Mm.
it opens a doorway to a place of peace and becoming our fullest selves. So I want to thank you for joining us, and everybody watching. I want to leave you all. Hey, have this reflection. Think about how you can move forward, like what Trudy is saying, and to be freer, more whole. She's talking about as simple as taking a bath. Ladies, sit your butt in some bath water and let your yoni get into the water. Hey, that's something there. That
Yeah.
doesn't cost you anything but a bathtub of water. It doesn't have to cost you very much. And I think that's very poignant. I want to highlight there. But remember, forgiveness is not about the other person. I want y'all to remember that. It is about healing. And today, if today's conversation spoke to any of you guys out there, please do me a favor, hit the like button, share this video with someone who needs it. Yes, I see y'all in there, Rhonda and Jen, our regular people in here. I see y'all here. And then make sure, thank you, Trudy, for reminding us about truth and forgiveness. Anyway, I want to say goodbye to everybody, and I will see you
Thank
guys
you.
next Monday. Yeah, I'll be back on next Monday. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes.